All right, welcome back. So, we got a few things to do here right off the bat to close out week 2, and then we'll be starting week 3, which the good stuff is coming soon. They're gonna have me doing a yoga routine. Already learned about like mindful eating, so yeah, a lot of really good stuff. And for anyone new, this is Tech Yes, public learning channel. It used to be called Graham's Networking Lessons. My name is Graham, so very creative name. And the core content of this channel was and will continue to be, painstaking, torturous, technical studies. And as a result of that, and kind of my natural way of kind of my natural set point, I had some big wins on this channel for sure, but there were two really big losses. The first really big loss was I failed the JNCIESP on this channel. The second really big loss was I failed the LPIC on this big channel. And just kind of more personally, a huge loss was I gained over 100 pounds. And I just kind of have this feeling that my life was kind of spiraling out of control. So one of the things I've been doing since ChatGPT has been released is talking to it every day, multiple times a day. And what we want to do is get me on track, get my life really perfect. I feel like I'm in a really good spot right now in life where there's no excuses anymore. I have full control over what I eat, over if I want to work by the window in the corner. I just have so much control and freedom over my life that it's time to really start doing things right. So my idea was, hey, let's knock off some tech certs. But as we thought about it, it's like, well, is that really the most important thing? And then the thing is, like, is that how achievable is that if I'm in this tailspin, gaining weight, feeling depression, anxiety, and stress? Like, the pill for that when you go to a psychologist isn't let's study for the hardest certification exam there is and fail it. It's it's Mbsr. So this is what we came to the conclusion of, ChatGPT and I, and that's to learn mindfulness-based stress reduction. And we actually found a free course online, Pelosi mindfulness-based stress reduction, which has been great. It's an 8-week course. It's basically the same course that's used for the actual scientific literature. So if anyone's like me, a skeptic, and sees this and rolls their eyes and groans, all you got to do is go down to the scientific research section of the PelosiMindfulness.com site. And you can see it's really uncontroversial. We've got meta-analyses. Those are the best ones. So it can have a small effect that can compound over time and make a big change. And that's what I'm all about. The ChatGPT and I discovered something called the Kaizen method, the Kaizen approach. So this is a business philosophy that focuses on continuous improvement through small positive changes. And in full disclosure, I was reading a book from my local library. This is another thing. If you're new to the channel, this is what I'm all about for you watching this channel right now. Boom. I'm now visiting my local library online, the Austin Library. So I want you to be able to do that. All you got to do is go in person to your nearest local library. For me, it's a 10-minute drive down the street. It's about a 30-minute drive to the downtown Austin Central Library, which is one of the nicest places in the world, according to Time magazine. So I have access to this. See that? Anytime during their business hours, I can just go down there, right? And do I do it? No, I don't, and that's a tragedy, right? So that's kind of part of that Kaizen approach, right? We want to start doing things that make sense, more things that make sense, and less things that don't. So, but in full disclosure, I was reading a book called Kaizen here, and I started really hating the book. They kind of started, dumping on remote work. I'm just not okay with that. So I switched to reading Remote Work Revolution instead. And this is a business book, so they have the same sorts of Kaizen approaches, like for example, having a launch meeting, right? Like that's a small thing that and of course, depending on your position in the company, you're not in charge of this, but if you're in a management position or something, you can definitely have product launch meetings. If you're an entrepreneur creating your own company, definitely then it's all in your control, and you can do this. So the Kaizen approach is this is not an alternative to learning about that. It's still very much a part of pretty much any business book, because it's how Toyota rose to power. So it's a very accepted business practice. All right, but for now, we've got the formal practice and the informal practice to get through, and then we've got more of the supplemental materials. So if I go down to here, we can see everything they want you to do for the week. Got these knocked off. The videos are really easy. Got the reading knocked off. Reading can be a bit harder, but I got that done. Then we've got the practice sheets. And another thing to know that I want to say quick is the Kaizen approach, right? Where did I get that from? Well, I got it from ChatGPT. How great is ChatGPT? Well, sometimes it can be good. Sometimes it leaves a lot to be desired. So what else is there besides the Kaizen approach? Well, there's the content in this course, right? So one of the supplemental materials is Altered Traits by Daniel Goleman and Richard Davidson. And it's basically the same thing we're trying to do, right? We're trying to make improvements throughout all aspects of my life. So, I could read this instead, and guess what? Oh, the Kindle, $12. How about that? How about buy one click? That's all it takes, right? For $12, you get it right there. Or the library, right? Remember? The library. So, this look familiar here? And you can even use the same app. You can use the same app you would pay $12 for, and you get it for free. You might have to do an extra click or two, but I think that's worth it. All right, so so in this video I'll be doing a formal practice, which in this case will be my final body scan for the week, and then I'll be doing an informal practice, which I'll knock off right now. So you're supposed to do these informal practices at the end of the day. You're supposed to think back to the day as it's closing, and then you're supposed to do it at that time. And you know what? It's probably makes sense to do that because it can help you have like a wind down routine, to get to bed. I think that's really important. But for me, I just can never fit it in. The morning is the time when I really can get things done, especially if I've had enough sleep. So let me fill this out for remembering the prior day, and then I might then I'll probably have to do one more because they want 7 entries, one for every day of the week. And I'll do that later. So what was the experience? Day of fun. Yesterday I had a day of fun, so specifically swimming Lake Travis on a party boat rental. And was aware of, I really was aware of them, yeah. So how did it feel in detail during this experience? So I think I would have felt a lot more. So I think if not for this Mbsr training, I would have felt a lot more social anxiety. I also would have bit my nails more and picked at my fingers. I didn't do that at all. I didn't do that one time at all. If I, what I instead, I focused on my breath. Nothing bothered me. At one point, when I realized there just wasn't anyone available to talk with, I decided to turn my chair and watch the lake as the boat moved to our dock. It was a beautiful view. And prominent in my memory. I'm really grateful that I took in the scenery so fully and was mindfully present in the moment. Right, and that's something I would have never thought to do before. You know, I'd be picking my nails. I'd be like, oh, I'm not talking to enough people. Oh, it's so socially awkward. I'm not doing this right. But instead, I had some great conversations, right? And I'm grateful for that too. So it's like, this idea that you're failing some sort of metric or you're not doing things properly. It's the spotlight effect, right? It's like, people, if you took a survey, scale of 1 to 10, how badly, did I behave during this thing? People, most of it would either have no opinion or they'd say like you were fine, right? So like your social anxiety is very much not the truth. I had great conversations, and I when I had no one to talk to and I was just kind of sitting there, what I would do normally is pick at my fingers, like bite my nails and just be really, really anxious, like, oh, like this isn't going well. But instead what I did was I focused on my breath. And then there was a point where, there really was no one there. So I turned my chair. So instead of looking in at the party at everyone having these great conversations and me not, I turned my chair and I looked out into the scenery as the boat was going through the river, and what I saw was beauty, pure beauty. That was the point of this trip, right? Is to be in a different present setting that contains more beauty, right? So I was mindfully present and I fully took in. Took that in fully, and man, if you wanna address your social anxiety, just redirect your focus towards something more beautiful. Like why just kind of sit there and stare at the floor, right? Just take in the scenery, and it'll really help with that. So what moods, feelings, and thoughts accompanied this event? So definitely serenity. It was a great day. Serenity. It was a great day. The swimming was amazing. I really like to go swimming. Yeah. Yeah. The other thing, honestly, I noticed was Mbsr was working. couldn't help but notice my base rate of anxiety was for sure less, unquestionable. It definitely, like, I would walk away from a social event like that with my fingernails, my nails all ripped up from biting and picking at them and stuff, and nothing, absolutely nothing, like not a little tiny thing, like, that's unheard of for me, because I wasn't mindfully aware. I was staring at the floor, thinking my own really, like, wrong thoughts, right? Thoughts that just aren't useful, thoughts that just aren't accurate. If you were somebody would look into my mind, it'd be like, why is he thinking about that? That's ridiculous. Like, it's like, you don't have to be the life of the party to be socially acceptable, right? Like, the quiet guy who sits in the corner, like, it's not that he's failing at being social. It's that, like, he's just, and you can even be seen as, like, a contemplative person, right? Like that can be seen as a good thing, that you're just kind of in, like, what's that meme pic, right? Yeah, so here it is, like, it's like, what's going through this mind? These people don't even know he's there, right? They're all having fun, right? So, like, this is me, right? But this Mbsr, makes this so much easier on me, right? Because if you're on a boat, you can just turn and look the other way, look at the water and the shore, and, like, you don't have to kind of torture yourself by looking at everyone else having more fun. And then the other thing is, like, you can have fun, right? Like why just stand there, like, get in a conversation. Like, you don't have to talk to, like, the coolest people there, right? Just talk to anyone. Talk to the guy. I'm sure in another corner there's another guy even more awkward than this, so go talk to that guy, right? So yeah, it was a great day. Felt lots of serenity, and I always love to go swimming. I'm a really strong swimmer, so being able to use that skill is always something I like to do. Mbsr was working. Couldn't help but notice my base rates of anxiety were for sure less. Unquestionable fingers. No picking at fingers at all. Or nail biting at all. 0. Which for me is unheard of. So what do I notice now? I notice a lot of excitement. I notice feelings of possibility. And kind of an energy where, it's like, I could do that again, right? It was not like, that event wasn't draining, like, because you're out swimming and stuff, but yeah, I feel really free, right? Because before, I'd be biting my nails, I'd be the spitting image of this. As it was, I went swimming. I just, it was awesome. So I feel a lot of excitement right now. I feel like there's possibility. I can be like this, with that set point, that happiness set point higher, those feelings of anxiety, depression, and stress lower. Like, I just feel like there's more possibilities in life. I feel really energetic and I feel really free. So that's as easy as it has to be for the informal. I'm gonna save that and move on, and let's do the formal. All right, so here's the formal practice. Between now and next week, at least 6 times alternating. So this will be my 6th and final time, and I started with this sitting. So as it's an even number, I will be ending with the body scan. And this is what you can do, right? It's like you don't have to do especially a sitting meditation. I mean, come on, all you're doing is sitting and focusing on your breath, right? It's like, what do you focus on? Like when you're in a really stressful scenario, what do you focus on? Do you ruminate the same thoughts over and over and over again? Do you focus on biting your nails so you get that pain as an escape? So it's like you don't have to think about anything except, ow, I really injured myself and I wish I hadn't done that. This hurts really bad. That's how I used to get through life, right? Is like I would just hurt myself, right? I would bite my nails, pick at my fingers, and there'd come a point where it was like, ow, I wish I hadn't done that. That was too much. And my mind is clear, right? It's free, right? From any worry, any anxiety, any stress. Because it's a different kind of stress, right? I injured myself, and my mind is only on that, and it works, right? There'd be no reason why I would do it again and again and again if it didn't work, right? It's like the perfect escape. But what you can do instead is just focus on your breathing, block out everything else in the world except your breathing. Make sure you're breathing with good oral posture in and out of your nose. And just focus on that. And it's hard, right? Your mind wanders off, but sometimes it wanders off for good reason. You don't have to sit there like a monk, right? If you're at a party and someone comes talking to you, you win, right? That's what you're meant to do at the party. So have a conversation, and just if there's ever that like dead air or an awkward moment, instead of biting your nail, picking at yourself, getting over these feelings that are like, you feel anxious, you feel awkward, right back to your breathing. That's where you go instead of biting your nails. So it works. I definitely feel like it's working. So with that being said, it's time to knock off the final formal practice for week 2, which is the 6th and final round of meditation. It's the body scan this time rather than the sitting. And they're pretty much similar. They're pretty much very similar. It's just the sitting. They want you to be in an upright posture. That's kind of an important thing, because eventually they're going to train you to like do yoga and like kind of like get more comfortable in different sorts of postures. But with that, let's knock this off.
This body scan meditation is designed to bring greater awareness and attunement to body and to mind. We will be doing this in a state of relative physical stillness, so it's best to arrange a time and a place in which you'll be comfortable and you won't be disturbed. Dressing in loose and comfortable clothing which won't restrict your waist or your breathing. This meditation is usually done lying on the back, but it can be done in any posture that's comfortable and easy for you. It can be done in a rug, a mat, or a bed, or it can even be done in a reclining chair. You may want to use a light covering to help stay warm, and a flat pillow can be helpful for the head if it's more comfortable that way. If you are lying on your back, letting your arms lie alongside your body, palms up towards the ceiling if that's comfortable for you. Heels on the floor, allowing your feet to fall away from each other. And as you are lying here, allowing yourself to notice whatever comes up in your awareness. Simply accepting what is happening in the body and the mind, experiencing it clearly and as it is in this moment. Noticing where your body makes contact with the floor or the mat. You may have sensations of touch or pressure on your heels, your calves, your legs or buttocks, your upper back, your arms. And as you're becoming aware of these sensations, bring your awareness now to the fact that you're breathing. Noticing the actual physical sensations of breath. And as you take air in, your diaphragm moves to allow your abdomen to move up and expand a little bit. And as you breathe out, the abdomen flattens out. Just noticing the rhythm of your breath, and as it moves your belly, there may be slight movements of your chest. You may be aware of how the air enters through your nostrils and through your windpipe and into your lungs. Allowing that natural movement of your breath to continue without really having to do anything about it at all. There's a tendency to want to control the breathing when we bring attention to it. Just noticing how it is, whether it's short or fast or long and deep. Just allowing it to move at its own rhythm. And when you're ready on your next in-breath, allowing the breath that comes in and fills the lungs and moves your belly up, imagining that your entire body is hollow and accepts the air as it comes in through the lungs. As the body accepts the air through the nostrils and into the lungs, imagining it going all the way down into the belly and into the legs, all the way down to the toes. And bring your awareness to your right big toe. Simply noticing what's present there as you move your attention to that part of your body. You may notice tingling or temperature or coolness or throbbing. Or you may not be aware of anything at all as your attention is on your right toe, and just being aware, if that's the case, just being aware that that's where your attention is. Allowing your awareness to include both big toes, your right big toe and your left big toe both. Noticing it's possible to have your attention on one or the other, or to hold a space of attention that encompasses both. And when you're ready, moving your attention from the big toes to include the little toes. Just seeing how the quality of your attention shifts as you move your awareness to just your little toes. And maybe now noticing the toes in between. You can imagine your breath moving all the way down through your body, all the way down to your toes of both feet. And as you breathe out, allowing your awareness to move from your toes to the balls of your feet, that part of your foot that pivots and allows you to walk smoothly. And whatever you may be noticing there is just what you're noticing right now. There's no right or wrong feeling or sensation to have. And allowing your awareness of the balls of your feet to dissolve as you move your awareness to include the whole flat part of your foot, all the way down to the heel. It's that long triangular area, that meaty part of your foot that has contact with the ground as you walk. And noticing just where your heel may be touching the mat or the floor right now. And letting your awareness move to the ankles. Including the muscles the ligaments and the bones that are in the ankle, as well as the entire circumference from your Achilles tendon all the way up and around to the top. From the surface of the skin to the inner parts of the ankle that allow your foot and your ankle to move so smoothly and support you as you're walking. And imagining your breath going down into that area of your legs and your ankle. And on your next out breath, moving your awareness to the calves of your legs, the area between your knees and your ankles. Including the meaty part that may be touching the mat or the floor. And the muscles or tendons that run alongside the shin. So allowing into your field of experience whatever may be present for you as you have your attention on the calves and on the shin area. And when you're ready, moving your awareness to your knees, including the back of the leg, the kneecap itself, the joint inside, the skin around the whole circumference. Just being receptive to whatever sensation you may notice in this part of your body. And moving from your knees to your thighs, and the large muscles of your quads. Extend between your knees and your hips. Noticing the areas that have contact with the ground and the floor. And the parts that are the upper part of your thighs. And being aware of the entire circumference of your thighs, around the top and along the bottom side. the muscles and tendon and bone interior to the thigh, seeing what it's like to have your awareness in this part. You may feel weight or throbbing or heaviness or tingling or pressure. It's whatever comes to awareness. This is a part of the body where you might, if you pay attention, you might even be aware of the throbbing from your heartbeat. And as you're ready to do this, moving your awareness higher to the hip, the pelvic area, the buttocks where they touch the mat or the floor. And moving your awareness from the pelvic area to the lower back. Including the sides and the front. And being aware of how the movement of breath affects this part of your body. As on each in-breath, your belly expands a little bit. And the out-breath, it flattens somewhat. And seeing if it's possible to maintain awareness of your breathing and how it's physically moving with your abdomen all the way from in-breath through the pause at the end of the in-breath as you're ready to go the other direction through the out-breath. And all the way through. Noticing how the expansion and contraction affects the sensations of on your skin from clothes or from pressure. Any internal sensations you may be experiencing right now. And bring your awareness higher in your body to the area of the diaphragm and both above and below that, where some of the internal organs are, and then your lower rib cage, your middle back. And if as we do this exercise, if you're noticing any holding or tension in any part of your body, just noticing that that's there. letting your breath move through that part of your body if your breath is affecting it. Imagine your breath going into that part of your body, imagining it leaving at its own rhythm. And when you're ready, bringing your attention, your awareness into the cavity of your chest, your rib cage, around your upper back where it touches the mat or the floor. And appreciating in this area the lungs that supply oxygen and provide for the rhythm of the breathing. Noticing just how the chest may be expanding or contracting just slightly with each breath. Being aware of how the entire torso area moves very subtly with each in-breath and out-breath and the pause between. And appreciating that within this chest cavity, your heart and your lungs all working there. Your lungs nestled around the heart. Being aware of how your shoulders may be affected with the movement of breath. Including your upper shoulders, the sides, the upper back, moving your awareness from the shoulders themselves to where they attach to your neck. And sensing into those areas of connection, starting from a broad base at the top of the shoulders, narrowing to the neck itself. And bringing awareness to the movement that's happening in the neck area, the movement of air. And with your next in-breath, allowing your awareness to move from your shoulders through your upper arms all the way down to your fingertips. From the forefinger all the way to the little finger. You may be including your thumb as well. breath going all the way down, right to the fingertips as you breathe in. Imagine the breath going back out from that area and shifting your attention now to the joints of your fingers. And then to the knuckles. And moving from the knuckles to the back of the hands. And the palms of the hands. To that meaty part of the hand, the base of where your thumb connects to your hand itself, the side of your hand. Both interior and exterior awareness. Awareness of skin. Any sensations you may be noticing interior to your hand. And shifting your awareness to your wrists. Moving to your lower arms. Extending from the wrist all the way to the elbow. To your elbows. And moving your focus from your elbows to your upper arms. And back up into the shoulders. And the base of the neck. And moving from the base of the neck to your jaw. In your throat area. Including sensations you may have of the interior of your mouth, the tongue, how it rests within your mouth, the inner part of the cheeks, palate, the top part of your mouth. When you're ready, shifting to your gums and your lips. And being aware your lips have both an interior part and an exterior part. And moving to the cheeks. To the nose and the nostrils. Noticing here how the breath comes in through the nostrils and how it leaves. Moving to include the eyes themselves and the muscles around the eyes, in the upper cheek, in the eyebrow, in the corners of the eyes. That whole area that your eyes are supported by and they're resting in. And moving to the brow, above the eyebrows. The entire scalp area, from your brow across the top of the head and all the way down to the ears. And when you're ready, sensing into the entire body, from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. Allowing and noticing whatever sensation may appear as you include all of the body. Head and shoulders, arms, torso, buttocks, thighs, calves, feet. Allowing things to be just as they are, beyond tendencies of the mind to want everything to be a certain way. Beyond liking and disliking. Seeing ourselves as complete and whole right here, right now, just exactly as we are. Noticing and experiencing the fullness of life. Acknowledging our ability to be present with whatever presents itself. And as this segment ends, you might want to wiggle your toes and fingers, stretch in whatever way feels comfortable right now. If your eyes have been closed, allowing them to let the light in. And as you are ready, reestablishing contact with the entire world outside your body. This ends the body scan meditation.
All right, so that's it for week 1 formal practices. I only had to do 6 of those meditations, three at a time, in alternating times. And then the last part is I need to immediately after doing it, I need to put just a few words to remind myself of my impressions, what came up, how it felt, what you noticed of physical sensations, emotions, thoughts, etc. And I noticed how good I felt for a while. So I noticed how good I felt, had a great breakfast, slept really well, not much itching. And I definitely noticed that because I know that there was a time where I was feeling really bad. Yeah. I think on the 22nd I was feeling bad while I did this, but yeah, but now, I felt really good. So I had a great breakfast, slept really well. Not much itching, a little bit, but not too bad. Lots of daydreams. Lots of reflection on the prior day. Rather than on random long-term memories. And then lots of feeling like day planning, remembering some important things to address today. Those came to mind, such as going to pharmacy, establishing a new cell phone plan, and there was more. I actually don't remember everything that came up, but that's it. Just a few words is all that's necessary. So with that, the formal practice for week 2 is completely done. All right, so that leaves me with just one more round of informal practice. I can do that tomorrow morning or whenever I get to it tomorrow, or I can do it at the end of the day. I can do another video maybe at the end of the day where I complete my formal practice and then complete the rest of the supplementary materials. I already made it through some of the supplementary materials. So the next one would be this measuring mindfulness video. And it's only 7 minutes, and I'm feeling really good. So videos are really easy to get through. It looks like there's a book and there's an article. So let's knock off a few more videos. This is we're at the hour mark, so I'm feeling really good. So I can do more of that, and then that'll be the end of this video.
So now let's get on to what's actually going on in the brain. And I'll start with a story. So Lolo Jones was an Olympic hurdler. She was favored to win the 2008 Olympics. In fact, she was in the finals, in the lead at the 9th of 10 hurdles. And what she said in an interview with Time Magazine was, I was in the middle of the race, and at one point I realized I was winning. And it wasn't like, oh, I'm about to win the Olympic gold medal. It just seemed like another race. And then a point after that, I started to notice that I was telling myself to make sure my legs were snapping out. That's when I hit the hurdle. So I overtried. Now, the idea here, it wasn't that she had thoughts. It's that she got caught up in thinking, right? She got caught up, she tripped herself up literally. And it turns out that this is a pretty common process. About half the time of the day, we are actually spent either daydreaming or getting caught up in our experience. And you can think of this as a continuum: daydreaming, stress, and of course, the far end is addiction. And because we do this so much, we can actually study this in the brain. And it's now aptly called the default mode network because this is what we default to. And I'm going to highlight a particular part of the brain called the posterior cingulate, which you can see here in the back of the brain, which turns out when you look at all the data, there are a bunch of different things that will activate the posterior cingulate. When we're thinking about ourselves, when we're mind wandering, when we're thinking about the past and future, judging things, when we're thinking about ourselves in social situations, liking choices that we've made, when it's involved in prevention goals, immoral behavior. I'm just going through this large list. And finally, of course, craving. What do all of these have in common? What does this brain region actually do? The idea is that this brain region gets activated when we get caught up in our experience. And of course, with mindfulness training, the idea is to notice what that feels like and to let go. So let's see if this is actually true. We did a study a couple of years ago where we took novice and experienced meditators and we scanned their brains while they were meditating. And we had them do a number of different types of meditation to see what was common amongst all these different meditation practices. And as you can see here, these two regions, these two main regions of the default mode network are both deactivated in experienced meditators compared to novices. So this was interesting. It was relatively novel. We didn't believe it. We wanted to see if we could actually prove this more thoroughly. So we followed. This is actually a technique that Christopher Sharms really piloted, and he'll talk a little bit more about it in his talk. But the idea is we can take real-time neurofeedback to bring the subjective experience together with brain activity. And we can give people feedback of their own brains while they're meditating. And this is what a typical graph looks like. And the idea is people can meditate with their eyes open, letting the graph rest in the background, and then they can check in from time to time to see if it correlates with their experience of getting in their own way, as well as when they're meditating, when they're concentrating on their breath. And our studies show that we have a very good correlation between this graph and people's subjective experience. Now, that was a novice. Here's an experienced meditator. Now, I'm not very good at statistics, but even I can tell the difference between these two people's brains. I'll just walk you through what this looks like. Here's a novice. These are 3-minute runs, so he says, there's nothing special here, reporting that it was lining up with his experience. In his third run, he said, I don't think your feedback works because I was thinking about my breath, and it was going red. So there must be something wrong here. In the very next run, his brain looked completely different, and he said, oh, I get it. Feeling the physical sensation of my breath rather than thinking about it. So he'd actually use this as neurofeedback, even though this wasn't the experiment.
That's key, right? It's like you're not thinking about it, like you have mindful awareness of it, right? It's like you're not thinking, oh, it has to be deeper, it has to be shallower. You're basically like thinking less than you would otherwise. You're trying to turn off your thinking, right? You're trying not to think. You're trying to sense, right? You're doing something other than thinking. You're feeling the breath.
Now, I'll just walk you through how we can take these data and bring them together so that we can learn even more about what these specific brain regions are doing. Here's an experienced meditator going through the experiment. And after these are 1-minute runs now, they're describing their experience. And he said, I caught myself. I was trying to guess when the words were going to end and when the meditation was going to begin. So I'm trying to be like, okay, ready, set, go. And then there was an additional word that popped up, and I was like, oh, shit. And there's that red spike you see there. And then I sort of immediately settled in, and I was really getting into it. And then I thought, oh, my gosh, this is amazing. It's describing exactly what I'm saying. And then you see this red spike. And I was like, okay, don't get distracted. And I got back into it, and we got blue again. I was like, oh my gosh, this is unbelievable. It's doing exactly what my mind's doing. So he was laughing at this point. And he said, so I find it really funny because that's to the next question. That's a perfect map of what my mind was going through. That's a perfect map of what my mind was going through.
Interesting.
So what exactly what was his mind going through? We can take all of these data from all these novice and experienced meditators and bring them together. And in a data-driven fashion, we can figure out what exactly this brain region is doing. And
yeah, and this is a technology channel first and foremost, right? So it would be wrong of me not to call out this company here, OpenBCI. So we provide anyone with a computer the tools necessary to sample the electrical activity of their body, and then you can also use LM Studio, possibly, or you can use data science. You can use machine learning to have like a conversation with your brain in a different way. This is first and foremost a technology channel, so it would be wrong of me not to point this out. If you choose to print it out yourself in your 3D printer, and hey, guess what? They have a 3D printer at the library, so you might be able to go to the public library and print this out. And then you get it sized to your head. I probably need a large. I don't know. And then probably the more channels, the better, right? I don't know. But that looked like a good price. It looks like a good price to me. $400. That looks like a good price to me. So You know, this is a it's going to be hard, right? It's not, but we can see.
So here is my Ultra Cortex Mark
Yeah.
III. And if I want to, if it's uncomfortable, I can adjust. And then I am going to fire up the OpenBCI GUI.
Yeah. So then they have all the software
Now,
for
once I'm
it
in the
as
GUI,
well.
I have the option to connect to an OpenBCI device with live data.
So this would be great for the sitting meditation, right? Because you're just sitting there in an upright posture. So the other one, the body scan, you're laying down, so it'd be harder to wear this. But for the sitting meditation, this would be perfect.
Select a playback file from a pre-recorded session or generate synthetic data.
Yeah, let's so generate the data.
Connect to the OpenBCI device. So in order to find my serial port, I have to plug my dongle in. I can then refresh the list.
USB, hopefully USB serial.
I need to turn my OpenBCI board on.
There you go.
So now, if I click Start System,
Start system.
you'll notice that once the radio finds the device, you'll see the registers of the OpenBCI board.
There's the data coming in.
And now I'm
Or
in the GUI and connected
not
to
yet.
the OpenBCI device.
There.
So if I click Start Data
There.
Stream,
There's the data
I'm
coming
now
in.
streaming 8
So look at that.
channels of EEG.
8 channels. So let's see here. 8 channels. There you go. $400. Same thing. Same thing he's doing here. $400.
Data from
But you got to print it yourself. But again, the local library might have a printer for you to use.
the OpenBCI device, which is mounted in the Ultra Cortex.
So now notice he made that big motion with his hands, right? He put his hands up on his head and put them back down.
That I am now streaming 8 channels of EEG data from the OpenBCI device, which is mounted.
There we go. Put his hands up, put them back down. Look at what happened to the data. See that? Isn't that cool? Now it could be just because he toggled it, but you know, look at the brain regions that were activated. So look, it's, wow. Like, you know, $400. I'm gonna do it, honestly. At some point, I'm gonna do it.
Board on at GUI, and you can see that I am now streaming 8 channels of EEG data from the OpenBCI device, which is mounted in the Ultra Cortex.
Look at what happened to his brain when he put his hands up. We're like, oh, wow.
So up here, I have the option to adjust some settings. I can change the bandpass filter. In this case, I'm going to look at a range between 5 and 50 hertz. If I'm somewhere else in the world, I can switch the notch filter to get rid of environmental noise to 50 hertz. I'm going to switch it back to 60. Here I can adjust the vertical scale of the graph to better see the data. And then there's some other settings over here. So now what you're looking at is 8 channels, and as you can see, they are mapped channels 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 into channels 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the first thing I'm going to demo is just some simple eye blinks. If I blink my eyes, you can see those very distinct EMG artifacts in channels 1 and 2, and you'll also be able to see the opacity of the color in the heat map of my head light up as those signals get stronger. So now what I'm going to do is demonstrate jaw grits, so more EMG artifacts. So if I grit my teeth, you can see that each time I do that, I generate a huge EMG artifact in all 8 channels. Now I can also, if I turn the scale down, I can also ease that in, so I have a certain analog control over the data. And so you'll see that those signals are actually strongest in channels 3 and 4, these locations, because they're closest, those channels are closest to the muscles that are producing that EMG artifact. So now what I'm going to do is demonstrate a brainwave. So if you look down at the FFT plot, down here, at about 10...
Awesome. So let's do this. So Austin Public Library, and they probably have it at Central, but you know, it might be anywhere. So let's do 3D printer. And we're going to search for the website. So it would probably be in the computer lab, right? So we'll do using library computers. And then we have an event here. So learn how to 3D print. So you might be able to use to reserve the 3D printer. Yeah, so pay for and pick up your prints. So so this is printing. But I'm not sure if it's 3D printing. So can ask them, but it looks like so APL Innovate looks like it's the makerspace in the library. So there's some talks there. So here's the dedicated page for the library makerspace. So we're providing community access to innovate using this. So there we go, 3D renderings. So reserve, so 3D printing right here. Okay, so it looks like it's you don't get your own free reign to the machine. It looks like you have to do some kind of BS, thing for kids. So like if you don't have a kid yourself, you probably aren't allowed to use this, which is really bad. Use rules. Let's take a look at the use rules. Let's take a look at, you know what, I can, let's email them. So let's email them. And sorry, I kind of don't want to show my private email out, so I can do the Streisand effect, so I call more attention to it than it would have normally. And then what I can do is email them. I'll say 3D printer, using the 3D printer. I'll say, hello, I'm considering purchasing a BCI interface. Hello, I'm considering purchasing a BCI BCI 3D printing plans. I do not have a 3D printer. Would there be a way for me to print out my purchase at the library? Thanks. There we go. So that's as easy as it is. Kaizen approach, very simple thing. Just sending an email is completely painless and free. Well, it's not painless, but it's worth a shot, right? So now let's get back to, so this is first and foremost a technology channel. So definitely wanted to bring this up. I've been considering this for a long time, but I don't have a computer. If you get it assembled, so where you can just snap it together, you don't have to print it out. 700 assembled by pros, 1,000. So 1,000 for 16 channels. This is a pretty penny for me. I'd love to do it. I feel like it would be worth it. I feel like it would be like more than worth it. I feel like it would be awesome, but it's just a bit too much for something that's kind of a long shot, right? And then we also have so we have different options. You can, if you want to get crazy, you can get crazy. Here you go, $25,000. This is for you if you've got all the money in the world. Okay, so let's finish out this video.
We can confirm what other people have found. So when you're distracted, when you're thinking about yourself, the posterior cingulate gets activated. And you can see that here in this whole line of distracted awareness. But we also found a new category where they were describing controlling things, trying to effort, or when they were discontent. That was something that we hadn't noticed before. With deactivation of the posterior cingulate, again, when people are concentrated, the posterior cingulate gets deactivated. We know this already. But there's this whole other category that came out as well, this effortless doing, when people weren't efforting. I'll give you a couple examples.
And that, again, effortless doing. Like, that's where this is all coming from. This is a technology channel, first and foremost, as I keep saying. Why am I doing woo-woo yoga meditation? Because I kept failing all my certification exams because it was like torture studying for them, right? Effortless doing. That's what I'm going for.
So this person said, I was worried that I wasn't using the graph as an object of meditation. So I tried to look at it harder and somehow pay attention more to it. Of course, it went red. Harder, pay attention a little bit more. So here's some examples of deactivation. The first one, toward the middle, I had some thoughts which I don't see in the graph, maybe because I just let them flow by. The second person noticed that the more I relaxed and stopped even trying to do anything, the bluer it went. Stopped trying. Yoda, no, try not. Do or do not, there is no try. So we're getting at this sense of flow. For those of you that aren't familiar with this, Mihai Csikszentmihalyi described this several decades ago as this mental state where we're fully immersed in the present, totally energized, we're selfless, it's effortless, we're just doing it. You can think of sports figures like Michael Jordan or other folks that are just really in it, and it just seems completely effortless. This is flow. And we even had some examples where experienced meditators were reporting getting into flow in our scanner, and that this was correlating with decreased activity in their posterior cingulate cortex.
So, you guys,
All right, so there you have it. Effortless doing. That's the key right there. So next one is whodunit. This is I think I've seen this one before. This one's pretty good. So this should be fun. I'll watch it without speeding it up.
So
oh, never mind. No, this isn't. This is exactly the one I was thinking of. So we're gonna watch this without speeding it up because this is a really fun video.
you guys, you probably come quite often to mind and its potential. You may have done a bit of mindfulness, so you probably think, yeah, I'm really in the moment. I probably don't even need to listen to this talk. So we're going to have a little test, okay? So get ready to try and work this out. You need to act as Sherlock Holmes and work out who killed Lord Smythe. Are you ready? Mindfulness. Here we go.
Clearly, somebody in this room murdered Lord Smythe, who, at precisely 3:34 this afternoon, was brutally bludgeoned to death with a blunt instrument. I want each of you to tell me your whereabouts at precisely the time that this dastardly deed took place.
I was polishing the brass in the master bedroom.
I was buttering his lordship's scones below stairs, sir.
Why, I was planting my petunias in the potting shed.
Constable, arrest Lady Smythe.
But how did you know?
Madam, as any horticulturist will tell you, one does not plant petunias until May is out. Take her away.
Sorry, madam.
It's just a matter of observation. The real question is, how observant were you?
Action.
Clearly, somebody in this room murdered Lord Smythe, who, at precisely 3:34 this afternoon, was brutally bludgeoned to death with a blunt instrument. I want each of you to tell me your whereabouts at precisely the time that this dastardly deed took place.
I was polishing the brass in the master bedroom.
I was buttering his lordship's scones below stairs, sir.
Why, I was planting my petunias in the potting shed.
Constable, arrest Lady Smythe.
It's easy to miss something when you're not looking out for it.
All right, so now we can speed it up. Yeah, that's just a fun video. It's just like the passing the basketball and the gorilla one. So let's hear what else there is.
And that's an example of a state of mind that we go into. Our minds can really easily filter out a lot of information and just focus on one thing. And there's lots of other little video clips you can find on YouTube and things like that, where you're focusing on one thing so much that you can miss lots and lots of changes. Now, that was amazing. I mean, also, did you see the number of different things that got replaced? And yet, how many people noticed one change? How many people noticed two changes? Okay, so a few of you, yes, a few, yeah. But only a few noticed two, and there were 21 changes. That's incredible. Now, what we're saying with mindfulness is that if you go around your everyday life very much focused, goal-oriented, in this doing state of mind, you can actually miss out on a lot. And if you get into that too much, you can miss out on things completely. Mindfulness is about noticing this doing or goal-orientated state of mind, but also learning to switch into this more being state of mind, stepping back and looking at things and being more aware and mindful of what's going on. By doing that, you notice more and you actually have more choice. Yeah? If you've got negative thoughts arising in your mind, but you're not mindful, they could be just underneath the level of consciousness and having an effect on your emotions and what you're doing, but you're just not aware or awake to them. So by practicing mindful exercises, you can notice them all, and then learn to take a step back from them rather than taking them to be reality. So mindfulness is actually just about giving you more choice and more flexibility in your awareness.
There you go. More choice and more flexibility in your awareness. Yeah, I mean, how could anyone hear this and be like, oh, I don't want that, you know? So, all right, so next one is we've got a 5-minute video really easily. Then we've got a whole book. You know, I'm not going to read a whole book before I go on to the next week. And then we've got an article. So we'll skip the whole book, and I think I'll save the article for later as well because it can be a pretty long article. And then I have to do that informal practice as well. So I'll save the article and the last informal practice for another video. But I'll close out this one. I just need a quick break. I think, well, no, let me just close it out. You know, it's only a few minutes, and then that'll be the end of the video.
I was a product of the 60s, and I had a very idealistic view of wanting to change the world, and I still do.
Richard Davidson is a well-renowned neuroscientist, but I think of him as an explorer, mapping our brain's incredible possibilities and leading the way to a deeper scientific understanding of everything from memories to happiness.
I had an intuition that the human mind was kind of the next scientific frontier, and that if there were some way to cultivate more positive minds, we could change the world for the better. I began with most of my focus on the negative side of things. And then when I met the Dalai Lama in 1992, he asked me, why have you been using the tools of modern neuroscience just to study anxiety and stress and fear and depression? Why can't you use those same tools to study kindness and compassion? And it was like, whoa, just a total wake-up call for me. And that is, in fact, what we've been doing since that critical moment. One of the first ways in which we decided to begin was something that His Holiness encouraged us to do, which is to test individuals who spent years training their mind. These people have spent, on average, about 34,000 hours of lifetime practice.
And then the Dalai Lama ate a brick of cheese and got a stomach ache, and yeah.
And so in that particular experiment, we were looking for signs in brain electrical signals to ascertain whether those signals, when individuals are actually meditating, showed anything unusual. And what we found was remarkable. Gamma is a brain rhythm that is occurring at roughly 40 cycles per second. And in the brains of the advanced Tibetan meditators, we found the presence of these gamma oscillations that went on for tens of minutes, and they were very high amplitude. The brains were also significantly different when they weren't meditating. And these differences reflect the enduring traces, if you will, and it signals.
And one thing I do have to say, you're not getting this machine in your home, but freeze frame here, you know, it's the same thing, right? Is the open BCI, right? Oh, not BIC, the open BCI. It's just like a lot more sophisticated. So like, you know, $400, you get you get like enough, right? So maybe I can sort this by price low to high. Oh, it starts getting expensive pretty fast. But anyways, we saw it before. Oh, I think this is it, the complete interesting. I don't know what I saw before that was only $400. So if we go to I think it was this, the complete no, that's not it. Okay, so you kind of have to have a little bit of know-how. You could probably work with ChatGPT and get a better sense for what to buy. I would say don't buy this, but yeah, let's keep closing out the materials.
There are those signals when individuals are actually meditating showed anything unusual, and what we found was remarkable. Gamma is a brain rhythm that is occurring at roughly 40 cycles per second. And in the brains of the advanced Tibetan meditators, we found the presence of these gamma oscillations that went on for tens of minutes, and they were very high amplitude. The brains were also significantly different when they weren't meditating. And these differences reflect the enduring traces, if you will. And it gives us some clue that, in fact, the baseline state of these individuals is transformed as a consequence of their practice. Around here, we talk about healthy minds and well-being as skills. All of the scientific research is leading inevitably to this conclusion. These
Healthy minds and well-being as skills. And the scientific research is leading to that conclusion.
simple ancient practices that were developed 2,500 years ago are now being tracked with instruments that have just become available in human history for the first time. We use MRI to analyze the structure of the brain, the function of the brain. We can actually see changes in subtle blood flow to different regions of the brain. And so there is undeniable evidence that practices to cultivate well-being influence the functioning of the brain.
There we go.
Most of the time, our brains are being shaped unwittingly. The invitation in all of this work is that we can actually take more responsibility for the shaping of our own brains by engaging in healthy habits of mind. One of the important constituents of well-being we call resilience. We can actually track the brain circuits that are responsible for this. We have shown that we can actually influence these brain circuits through training. And we can take someone who was not so resilient and improve their resilience. And they
There we go. That's what I want.
actually show improvements in their well-being.
Boom.
I think that one of the important insights from our work is that the mind can be transformed, that we all are born with a capability for change, and that the seeds of living a life that is compassionate, that's kind, that's generous, is within each of us. And if we all believe that, I'm absolutely convinced the world would be a much better and happier place.
Brought to you by Chevrolet. Okay, let's be mindfully aware of where we are. So we got pretty much all the supplemental materials done, except for reading an entire book. I do have it checked out from the library, but I'm not gonna. These are optional materials. So we got one more article and one more round of formal practice, and we're in the last day of week 2. So that's going to be it for this video. I'll try to do one more today where I do one last informal practice and then read this article, and then it'll be time for week 3. So thanks for watching and see you in the next one.